Okay, this is Yogi Bhajan. Every weakness in your mind is because you are not in touch with your neutral mind. Neutral mind is when you are not bound down by the negative force or the positive force. So either forces, because I've said this. This is a Yogi Bhajan teaching that you get into the affirmation. It's actually from Hari Jivan. I'm not sure, but he was talking about the difference between mantra and affirmation. You get into an affirmation and you instantaneously you're activating the polarity of the thing. So you're getting into that negative positive polarity, which is fine. But we're interested in this kind of neutral space and developing the neutral space. That's what the meditation is about. But you have to know that, like, when you get into, these are big in the meme world. You have to, every time you get into an affirmation, you're activating the polarity of the affirmation. So, but then Mandev said that she put a bunch of affirmations by her dog's water bowl and that they did work. Every one of them came true. I was like, that is the sweetest thing I've ever heard, and I love you now more than I didn't know it was possible. But, okay. Every weakness in your mind is because you are not in touch with your neutral mind. Neutral mind is when you are not bound down by the negative force or the positive force. Then you are the force. Then that's what God is. That's a very, very different definition of what God is than this kind of, mad dad in the sky who's punishing you for being, never going to do anything right. It's a very different, and that's the difference between this age we came from and the age that we're going to. We get that, right? Yeah. Okay. Look, if you are looking for God, there's no such thing. It doesn't matter how religious you are, you have no touch of God. But when you become a neutral person in the negative, positive vibrations, you remain neutral. When the pair of opposites does not affect you and a higher altitude is received of that of infinity, and the personality becomes so dominant and so radiant, the person can understand that within all is, and the effectiveness all becomes one, and the effectiveness all becomes one. That's God, not what you think God is. I mean, we can't even understand that because there's so much programming around this. So to penetrate the programming is, it's very deep. Even if you didn't grow up in a particularly religious household, we're talking about cultural conditioning for thousands and thousands of years. We talked about this over the last Immense Grace weekend, that your kind of magnetic, Yogi Bhajan called it your magnetic ray. The magnetic ray of your kind of vibrational imprint becomes so dominant, it becomes the prevalent force, and it reigns superior over the cosmic forces. That's where you want to get. That's personal power, because that means you're not being, nothing is pulling and pushing you around. It's not your mood. It's not Mercury retrograde. It's not because you had pasta last night. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not because somebody looked at you weird. It's not because somebody cut you off on the 405. All of that is just, normal. I mean, it's weird that people don't have all of those things happening to them. Hopefully as I've said many times, remember when our biggest problem was gluten? Like, you remember those days? I remember, it was like, oh my God, we're all allergic to gluten. Like, this is a major problem. That was really the only problem we were facing in our civilization at the time. Yep. Those were the good old days. Okay, so your personality becomes so dominant and so radiant, the person can understand that within all is, and the effectiveness all becomes one. That one, ek, onkar, that's God, not what you think God is. I've met a lot of people. I have not wasted my life. I'm very happy what I've gone through, the suffering, the hardships, the negativity, the slander, the insults, the abuse. That's just all earth. Comparative to the joy to uplift people, to elevate people, to make them happy, to neutralize their depression and make an impression that they can have happiness in their life, that's what it's all worth. That's the worth. You cannot need any enemy. You have your own nightmares, you have your own fears, your own insecurities, your own aggressiveness towards self and others. So you just don't need to worry about anybody else's problems with you because you have so many problems with yourself. And my favorite thing, and I've said this over and over again, is one night Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche is giving a lecture, and one of the students, the transcriptions of the Q&As of his lectures are really great, and Yogi Bhajan's. I find the Q&As of with these spiritual masters to be very, very interesting because we're very neurotic and funny, and so when you read the transcriptions of what the students ask and then what the teacher answers, it's funny. This is my entertainment. Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche somebody was asking him, I've become so spiritual and sensitive. And I'm just finding being out in the world, just all the aggression coming towards me is just really it's really overwhelming me. And, Rinpoche, what should I do about that? And Chogyam Trungpa, who also liked beverages, a different sort than the ones I like, but he always kept a kind of piece of paper over his water so nothing would fall into it. And he removed the piece of paper and he took a big drink and he put the water down and he put the paper back down and he leaned in and he said, "I want to talk about the aggressiveness in this room right now." And so he went on and basically about how much aggression in the spiritual practitioner, people who think they're spiritual, how much aggression there is. And it's a good cutting through of your own spiritual materialism because, you don't have to worry about anybody else's aggressiveness. Your own aggression towards yourself and your environments. And sometimes when people... you've seen it in this room. People, they're going to get theirs. And they're going to get their spot. They're going to get their thing. They're going to get their yogi tea. They're going to get, they're going to get in the bathroom line. Like, whatever the thing is, you see it right here. The amount of aggressiveness that's portrayed even just in, a yoga class. And I remember, because, I don't know, I was in a little bit of a different yoga scene in New York. It's a little bit different in New York because everybody's kind of okay, well, this sucks. So let's be a little nicer to each other. There's a bit of a gallows humor in New York, which I really do appreciate, where it's okay, we barely made it through the day. Yeah, you too? Okay, cool. Here's a spot for you. And then if there is a problem, it's fuck you. No, fuck you. Okay, cool. It's a mutual respect. And I like that about France too, because, they'll be rude, but then if you're rude back, they don't have any problem. It's just we're all rude. Everybody's fine. But I remember coming into a very, very packed yoga class when I first moved to Los Angeles, and the amount of aggressiveness I had never kind of seen in a yoga setting, that much aggressiveness for their spot and for the thing, and the whole. It was an education. So we don't have to worry about anybody else. We got the aggressiveness covered for ourselves and our environments. We're doing fine. He says you don't have anything to worry. And some of you in the Western world, I've realized, and now it also is in the same situation with the Eastern world, they can find very possible that money can buy everything, but money cannot buy meditation. Money cannot buy that experience. You want a gem quality in everything. Your mind is the most foggiest of the minds. The mind has come through the code of blackness and blackness and blackness. It has no clarity to see. The human life is given to see through the gem mind, see through the light, see through the light of the God, the generating, organizing, delivering, where the candle is the symbol of that. That is the mental strength. So you have a negative mind, you have a positive mind, and then you have a neutral mind. This is the neutral of the negative and the positive. Majority of the people who cannot think right get stuck with the ideas in their negative minds And then the positive mind takes those ideas and basically amplifies them. That's how the mind works. It's a trinity kind of thing, where the negative mind's the first thing, and it's going to see, all the kind of issues. And I'm giving you a little bit of this technology because we're going into the holidays. So you're going to see all the issues, and you're going to see all the the potential dangers in any situation. That's the negative mind. And then the positive mind is going to amplify what it is that you have, what you see are the possibilities of danger. And it's going to also bring up all in the files, all the things that have been, this person has acted this way, 75 other times on August 1st. 1982. That's why we, with the family, it's just so amplified, because there's a big archive file. So even if they get close, even if they get close to the you can see the thing coming down the pike. You think, oh, here goes the thing, right? Even if they come close to that, you have such an archive file of how many times they've behaved that way that you're already, it's, off to the races. So this is why it's really hard to, even if you've changed or your family's, people are changing. So even if they've changed, we have such a big archive file that it's very hard to kind of relate in a fresh way to the people that we have the most kind of history and intimacy with. So the positive mind's taken that all and given you a lot of things, right? Giving you a lot of things that are the possible things that could happen. You need three things. You need the soul, which is always there. You need the subtle mind, which is always there. The subtle body is what we call it. Nothing goes with you. The only thing that does is your subtle body. And then you need the strength of the neutral mind. Those are the three things that you need. The strength of the neutral mind is the unbiased land of God. To the ever-shining, ever-living, all-potent, ever-present, that is the generating, organizing, delivering force. Not the God of Los Angeles and New York, not the God of Rome or Greece, not the God of the Sikhs, the Hindus, the Muslims, the Christians, not the God of the Buddhists, not the God of the yogis, the swamis, the God which has form and no form, which has light and no light, which exists but doesn't exist, which is now and ever, that God where there is no polarity, no sides, no dreams, no sections, no plus, no minus, it's zero, it's shunya, that God. Can you all be that neutral? Can you think neutral? Can you think neutral? Can you act neutral? Can you rationalize neutral? Can you classify neutral? The answer is no. Okay, good. Well, guess what? We have a meditation for that. This is from a lecture Yogi Bhajan gave. Okay, so we're going to work on that neutral mind today, because as you kind of activate that force of the neutral mind, you're going to have the negative and the positive never go away, because that's just the function of the thing. But you can get to the neutral gear much quicker. That's what the meditation starts to develop in your body-mind system. And when you get to the neutral, that's the living God force in you, is that neutral mind. And what you want to watch for these moments while you're kind of going through your holiday time, that something that normally, someone does something or says something or comes close to a certain, or is just right at the center of the thing that is normally upsetting to you, or you have a big thick file on the misbehavior of, this person. It doesn't, you don't care. That's where you go. You want to be very, very kind of alert to those moments. Those are big win moments, and they're easy when you're practicing. They're easy to kind of let because the neutral mind is so neutral. It's easy to not recognize when you have a moment like that. So I just want to really, because those moments are the moments that are going to help you stay in your practice, because you're going to recognize the fruition of the practice that you've been doing. And we work hard. I mean, nobody wants to, somebody said to me, she's like, yeah, this is the first time I've done Kundalini in 10 years, but I remember the last time it was like, I'm sorry, I have to hold my arms up for 11 minutes. Like, nobody wants to do that. Well, that's a bad idea. Nobody's interested in that. So you guys are elite practitioners, and you're doing things that nobody wants to do, even in the kind of regular yoga world. I mean, nobody wants to do this. And I was teaching something yesterday. It's 5 minutes of a back bend. You'll never find that in any kind of other type of yoga class. I mean, that's the abnormal. Okay, so nobody wants to do the thing, and you're doing it. So you want to be very alert to those kind of moments where you notice the activation of the neutral mind and how much that generating, organizing, and delivering energy is moving through you in a way that is very potent. And these are the moments these are the moments of our experience of God. That's you can get religious in those moments because that's the fruition of your true kind of meditative practice. That's the power of it. So we'll pay a little attention to it, and we're going to unnumb you a little bit today. We're going to work on your stress and your depression. So these things that kind of numb us out so that we can't be alert to the miraculous. We can't be alert to how much we're changing. And I say this all the time because I think it's the best definition ever. Shame is an idea that you're the same. So the shame that we're carrying around is because we're so numb we don't know that we're just incredibly effervescently transforming. But the numbness keeps us from really relating to that freshness of our experience directly. So we're going to take away a little bit of the numbness today and work a little bit on the stress and also the depression. The cold depression is what Yogi Bhajan calls it, which is something that everyone's affected by in this era, this technological era. And then I'd like to do this meditation that basically kind of gets you to focus, gets you not to be in denial about where there's weakness in your system, so you're not afraid of the parts that need a little strengthening, but that you're focused in the right direction. So you're focused in the direction of mental clarity and strength, so you can kind of direct that is when the real personality becomes so dominant and radiant that that kind of force is moving through you in this gem-like quality. That's what all the crystals are for. They're just a reminder that that's possible in us. We just like a lot of the reminders. As many as possible, so that's all the crystals are for, is it's a reminder that this gem-like quality is possible in our minds and our bodies and our experience, our subtle body. Okay, so that's what we're going to work on today, and we'll do a little bit. We'll do a couple different things to peel away some of this numbness.